Hello everyone and welcome back. So on today's tutorial we're going to be recreating this beautiful shift dress that has a drawstring around the waist. So let's get started. Here's the fabric I'll be working with. It's 2.5 yards Ankara print, and you also need this black fabric. Okay. So first thing I did was I cut out half yard and I'm left with these 2 yards here, and I folded the fabric twice, which is the folding into four. So I have 4 layers of fabric and this is the folded edge towards me. Next thing, I determine if I have enough width of fabric. So you get that by adding your half shoulder length plus your desired sleeve length. So for me, 19 inches was okay. So I ruled out the shoulder line at the top by coming down um, around roughly half an inch. So in the same vein, I decided to take the rest of my horizontal measurements. So the first one was my shoulder to my bust. The next is shoulder to waist, and then shoulder to hip. Now for the dress length, I subtracted 2 inches from my desired dress length, since we're going to be attaching a black fabric to the hem of the dress. So I worked with 38 inches for my dress length, so that when I add the black fabric, I'll still get my 40 inches. Now after that, I ruled out those points that we marked. Just rule out these horizontal lines like this. And then go back to the top and take the neck measurements. Now we're cutting the front and the back bodies together, okay? So for the neck depth of the front and the back, neck width, sorry, I'm using 3 inches. While for the depth, I'm using 1.5 inches for the back and 7 inches for the front because of the V neck that it has in front. So we're going to connect those points like this. And that's it. The next thing is to take my half shoulder measurement starting from that folded edge. So you mark that point and then you take your sleeve length. I wanted the length to be 10 inches, but I'm going to mark 8 inches because we're going to attach the black fabric to the sleeves. And then you come down from that point by 1.5 inches and connect it to the neck width with a slant line, just like this. Good. Next thing is to take the round armhole measurement. I'm using 9 inches plus 1 inch for sewing allowance, so that's 10 inches. And so as you can see, it fell on the bust line. So now I'm going to put my body measurements on those horizontal lines. Now what I did for each of them is to divide my body measurement by 4, and then I add 3 inches for ease and 1 inch for sewing allowance. So that's a total of 4 inches. You can actually make it bigger. Yeah. Now thinking about it, I think I should have actually made it bigger. I think 5 inches would have been better, because the bigger it is, the more it sort of roaches when you pull the drawstring. So take those points, and the same measurement on the hip is what you're going to take on the hem of the dress, and then you connect those points and make a small curve around the armpit area like this. And now it's time to cut. So we cut the back neckline first, okay, and cut the shoulder, but we're not cutting on the line that we drew. We're shifting towards the top by half an inch. But for the rest of the dress, you're going to cut on the lines that we have marked. See, I think shift dresses are really very basic and easy to make, and They are so beginner friendly. So if you just started your sewing journey, I encourage you to make as many shift dresses as you can. So after cutting, I quickly took out one piece, and that's going to be the back. And then we're left with this piece where we're going to cut out the front neckline. Okay, now we're going to cut the facings. Just take a piece of fabric, fold it in half, and place it under this front bodice. Make sure the edges, the folded edges, are lined properly. Then I like to hold them down with pins, because it's really important that you cut exactly what you have on the dress. Okay, so cut it out just like this. And now you can take out the pins so that you can do the rest of the cutting. So for this, I'm using 3 inches to sort of like swivel my tape around and then connect the points. You can use 2, you can use 4, depending on how large you want the facing to be inside the dress. So when you open it up, that's what you have. So I'll just quickly repeat the same thing for the back neckline, the back facing. And when you open it, you have that. Then I cut the pockets. I used 7 inches for the width, and I used 9 inches for the length, or you can say the depth of the pocket. And then you cut it out. And this fabric is folded into 4, okay? So that when you open it up, you're going to have 4 pieces. And you know it's 2 pieces of fabric on each side of the dress to create the pocket. Then I also cut out the fabric that I'll use for the drawstring casing, and I got my measurement by getting this waist measurement on fold, and I multiplied that by 4 because it's going to go round the dress. And here's the pieces of fabric, like the strips of fabric that I cut out. I'm going to join them later, and each of them is roughly 2 inches wide. And I'm just showing you how I'm going to fold it when it's time to sew, okay? Then it's now time to cut out this black fabric that we'll use for the sleeves and also for the hem. And by the way, this fabric is called doll face in the market. So to get the length that I'll need for the sleeves, I also took this bodice, measured it, multiplied by 2. That will give me for 1 sleeve. And then for the hem, I multiply by 2, and that will give me the length that I need for each of the bodies. Okay, so you know you're going to repeat that. So you can as well multiply by 4 so that you get the entire length that you'll be needing for the hem and for the sleeves as well. So I quickly cut out these strips of the black fabric off camera and gave it a good press by folding in half, and these are the measurements. Okay, all right. Now it's time to attach the facings to the dress. So I place them right side on top of the dress, and then I'll quickly sew it this way. And I'll be using 1/2 inch sewing allowance. Now after sewing, I trimmed off the excess, like just trimmed off a little bit of it so that it's not too bulky, and notched it all the way around. And the next thing I did was to fold that little seam allowance that is left, fold it towards the side of the facing and sew it all the way around. This will help it to actually stay flat, like it gives it a better finishing when you're done. This is the back. When you flip it over, this is what you're going to see on the front of your dress. Very neat. Yeah. Okay, so you're going to quickly do the same thing for the back facing, and then give it a good press so that it stays really nice and flat. Now it's time to join the dress at the shoulders. Place the front and the back bodies right sides on top of each other, And because of the facing, I want to show you how I'm going to join it at the shoulder. First thing is to open up the facings like this, and we're going to sew from that facing down to the armhole opening. Okay, now I quickly did that off camera. Here's what we have. The next thing we're going to do is to take that facing as it is opened up, fold it over towards the shoulder like this, and then take one of them and turn it over like this. I don't know if I'm really explaining it well. You see that I fold it over like this so that the raw edges are exposed. And then I'll take that raw edge, align it with the raw edge of the shoulder, and then I'm going to join them with a stitch just here. Okay. Now, when you do that, if you open up the facing like this, voila! See, we have hidden those raw edges. So you're just going to weave the other side when you like. It's really neat. Some things are like magic in sewing. So now guys, it's time to attach the black fabric to the sleeves and the hem. So I'm placing it on the right side of the dress and I'm aligning the raw edges of the two of them together, and then I'll join them at the sewing machine just like this. And when you're done sewing, if you flip your work over, this is what your work should look like. Okay. Now I'll quickly give this a good press so that it stays flat. And while I was there ironing, I thought it would be good to also fold the drawstring casing like this and iron it out as well before NEPA will take their lights. Okay. This is what you should have after you have ironed. And this is the size when it's folded. And if you open it up, this is the size. Okay. And then I went ahead to attach the pockets. Now for the pockets, I came down 1 inch below the waistline, and that's where we're attaching the pocket. So quickly sew that, and after that, it's now time to join the dress at the sides. So you start from the arm, go down to the pocket, sew around it, and just finish up till you get to the hem of the dress. Now here I'm just quickly notching the armpit area so that the dress stays flat. Excuse me. And I'm just trying to determine where to place the drawstring. So to do that, you just take your underbust measurement. For me, it's 18 inches from the shoulders, from my shoulder line, which is the top of the dress. So we just take that measurement all around the dress. And this is how we're going to sew the casing. I fold it this way so that the raw edge is hidden, and I'm shifting like 1/2 inch away from the middle of the dress, and I'll sew on top around and also sew below around as well. And when you're sewing, this is not so easy to do because you need to make sure that you're sewing on one piece of the dress. So you move your fabric, like move your dress around a lot, and you know you're going to sew twice because you're sewing at the top and also beneath. So you sew all the way around, and that's what we have. And then it's now time to pass the drawstring. And this was not fun as well because it was quite a long journey taking this all around the dress. And guys, I think it's time to get that toner thing because this safety pin, sometimes the pin comes off and it gets attached to the dress. So just quickly pull the other end out, and that's it. Your dress is ready, guys. After all that hard work, we now have our dress. I really like this dress because of the drawstring. Honestly, that's what I love the most. It gives it a nice fitting and, just help you have like achieve that figure. Oh, guys, I hope you're going to try this, and please let me know what you think about the dress. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time. Bye.